I never thought a few empty coins and a cold night would push me to the edge of despair. With blistered feet and a breaking heart, I walked miles through the darkness, driven only by the fear of losing my little girl. But what happened next changed everything. Do you believe in fate, second chances, and life-changing moments? If yes, like this video and share your thoughts in the comments. I don't know where to begin except here, with the truth. Being a single father feels like carrying the whole world on my shoulders, and most days I wonder if I'm about to collapse under it. My name doesn't matter as much as hers. My little girl, my whole reason for breathing. She's 7, small for her age, too pale sometimes, but when she smiles, the cracks in my chest feel a little less sharp. "Daddy, are you eating?" she asked me tonight, her voice soft as she pushed her plate halfway toward me. I shook my head, forcing a smile. "No, baby, you eat. Daddy's full." Lie. My stomach had been growling for hours, but when there's only enough for one of us, the choice isn't a choice at all. She narrowed her eyes, just like her mother used to. "You always say that." "I mean it." I ruffled her hair, pretending it was all a game. "Besides, if I eat, who's going to keep watch over you? Somebody's got to make sure you don't sneak the last piece of bread." She giggled, and for a second, the heaviness lifted. For a second, I felt almost normal. But when she coughed, sharp, deep, like something rattling inside her, I froze. My fork slipped. "You okay, sweetheart?" I asked, my chest tightening. She nodded, covering her mouth. "I'm fine. Just a little cough." A little cough. I hated those words. I'd heard them too many times from doctors we couldn't afford to visit anymore. Bills were stacked on the table. Red letters screaming final notice. But the sound of her coughing drowned out everything else. When she finished eating, she yawned and leaned against me. "Daddy, tell me about Mama again." I swallowed hard. Talking about my wife was like ripping open a wound, but I couldn't deny my daughter her memories. "Your mama," I whispered, wrapping my arm around her thin shoulders. She had the brightest laugh. Loud. The kind of laugh that made the neighbors jealous. My daughter smiled, eyes half closed. "Like mine." "Exactly like yours." Silence fell between us, broken only by the ticking clock and the sound of her breathing. I stared at the table where unopened bills lay scattered, and a question burned in my mind. Am I enough for her? Can love really keep her alive when I can barely keep the lights on? Later that night, after I tucked her into bed, I sat on the floor beside her. The apartment was cold, the draft slipping through cracks in a window I hadn't been able to seal. I pulled a blanket tighter around her, then another around myself. She coughed again in her sleep, this time worse. Each sound stabbed me like a knife. "Daddy's here," I whispered, pressing my hand gently against her back. "Just sleep, baby girl. Please." I closed my eyes, wishing I could trade places with her, take every cough, every ounce of weakness into my own body. The truth is, I'm tired. I worked double shifts, scrubbing floors, lifting boxes, breaking my back for a paycheck that vanishes the second it hits my hands. I've patched her shoes with tape, skipped meals, and borrowed money from neighbors who barely have enough themselves. But the hardest part isn't the hunger or the bills or even the loneliness. It's the fear that one day love won't be enough. I pressed my forehead against the mattress and whispered into the dark, words I'd never dare say out loud to anyone else. "Please don't take her too." Her cough answered me, raw and heavy, shaking her small body as I held her tighter. And that was the moment I knew this wasn't just another night. Something was wrong. Something bigger than my strength, bigger than the walls I kept trying to hold up around us. I held her through darkness, praying, bargaining with every silent tear. The world could keep its money, its comfort, its sleep. Just let me keep her. Because tomorrow, I would have to find a way to get her medicine, no matter the cost. Her cough didn't stop that night. It grew deeper, sharper, each one shaking her body like the world was trying to tear something out of her. I pressed my hand to her forehead and nearly pulled it back. She was burning up. "Daddy," she whispered, eyes half closed. "I'm here, sweetheart," I said, wiping the sweat from her temple with the edge of my sleeve. "Just rest. Daddy's gonna fix this." But inside, I was breaking. Fever. No medicine at home. No money left after rent. I looked at her, so small under blankets, and felt like the worst kind of failure. I leaned close, whispering, "I'll be right back. Hold on for me, baby." She coughed again, weakly reaching for my hand. "Don't be long." "I won't," I promised, though my chest ached with the lie. The night air hit me like ice as soon as I stepped outside. My jacket was too thin, but I barely noticed. My legs moved fast, almost running, carrying me down cracked sidewalks toward the pharmacy, glowing faintly in the distance. When I pushed open the glass door, the warmth inside hit me, but it didn't reach my bones. I went straight to the counter. "My little girl," I started, my voice rough. "She's burning up. I need something for fever, the strong kind." The pharmacist nodded, typing on the computer, then turned the screen so I could see. My eyes landed on the price, and my stomach dropped. I pulled out my wallet. A few crumpled bills, some coins, not even half. "Please," I whispered. "This is all I've got. Can't you just give me enough for tonight?" She's so small. She's all I have. The man behind the counter looked at me with tired eyes. I could see pity there, but also the wall of rules he couldn't break. "I'm sorry," he said quietly. "Without full payment, I can't." The words cut sharper than any blade. I tried again, desperation spilling out. "She's 7. She's coughing so hard she can't breathe right. Please, I'll come back tomorrow. I'll work. I'll scrub your floors if I have to." His face tightened. "I wish I could, but I'd lose my job." Silence. The sound of fridge humming in the corner mocked me. My hand shook as I gathered the useless bills back into my wallet. "Yeah," I muttered, forcing a smile that broke before it even formed. "I get it." When I stepped outside again, the cold bit harder than before. I stood there, staring at the ground, feeling like the whole world had turned its back. I walked with no direction at first, the streets nearly empty, streetlights buzzing faintly above me. The city was alive in the distance, cars, laughter from a bar, people carrying bags of food, but none of it belonged to me. None of them even looked at me. I whispered to myself, "What kind of father am I?" My voice cracked in the still air. "I can't even buy the medicine she needs." Each step grew heavier. My boots scraped against the pavement, echoing in the emptiness. My chest felt hollow, like guilt was eating me from the inside out. I imagined her at home, coughing, burning with fever, whispering for me. And me? I was here, empty-handed, pockets lighter than my soul. I passed a shop window and caught my reflection. Tired eyes, unshaven face, jacket too thin for the night. A man who looked more like a ghost than a father. I almost didn't recognize myself. "Keep walking," I told my reflection. "She's waiting." But the guilt didn't loosen. Every light I passed reminded me of warmth I couldn't give her. Every shadow whispered that I was failing. By the time my apartment came back into view, my legs ached and my throat burned from holding back tears. I stopped at the bottom of the stairs, gripping the railing, whispering into the cold. "I'll walk as far as it takes. I'll find a way." Those words were still on my lips when I pushed my door shut behind me, leaving my daughter sleeping fitfully, sweat soaking her pillow. The sound of her coughing followed me into the night, like a shadow I couldn't escape. My pockets were empty. My stomach was empty. But my heart was burning with only one thing. I had to keep her alive. The street stretched ahead, long and silent. I turned my face toward the highway, the one that led out of town. I'd heard once that pharmacies in the next town sold cheaper medicine. I didn't know if it was true. I didn't even know if I'd make it. But staying here with nothing was an option. "Daddy's coming back with what you need, baby," I whispered into the cold. "Just hold on." The first mile felt easy enough, my legs driven by fire, but soon the pavement started biting to the soles of my worn-out boots. My stomach cramped, reminding me I hadn't eaten since yesterday. I tried to ignore it. Every step, I pictured her face. Her little hand reaching for mine earlier, weak and trembling. Her voice whispering, "Don't be long." I walked faster, But the faster I walked, the more the past caught up to me. I could almost hear my wife's laugh in the wind. Loud, fearless, the kind that used to make me believe everything would be okay. I saw her face the night before she left this world, pale, but still trying to smile. "Take care of her," she whispered back then, her fingers clutching mine with the last of her strength. "No matter what." I clenched my fist now, swallowing hard. "I promised you. I swore to you. I won't break it." The road stretched endlessly, the streetlights thinning, until darkness swallowed most of the path. Cars passed by occasionally, their headlights flashing across my tired frame. But none slowed down. To them, I was invisible, a man walking with nothing but shadows. My feet began to blister, each step stinging. I tried to distract myself, muttering out loud, as if speaking to my daughter, though she was miles away. "You remember, baby girl, the time we planted those sunflowers in the yard? You were so small you dropped half the seeds on your shoes." I laughed bitterly under my breath. "Your mama would have loved to see those flowers bloom. She would have loved to see you grow tall beside them." A gust of cold wind slammed against me, silencing the words. My throat ached. Am I doing enough? I asked the night. Or am I just a fool walking on broken feet, chasing hope that isn't there? But then I pictured her coughing, cheeks flushed with fever, whispering for me to come back soon. And suddenly, despair gave way to something stronger. "I'll do it," I muttered, louder this time. "I'll do it even if it kills me." By the third mile, pain turned into fire. Every step rubbed skin raw inside my boots. I could feel warm blisters forming, bursting, but I didn't stop. Hunger twisted my insides, but I told myself it didn't matter. I kept hearing my wife's voice in fragments, like pieces of a song carried by the wind. "Take care of her, no matter what." "I'm trying," I whispered into the darkness. "I swear I'm trying." The highway curved, and a bench appeared under a broken streetlight. My legs trembled, refusing to carry me farther. I collapsed onto the wood, my chest heaving, sweat freezing against my skin. I leaned back, staring up at the cloudy sky. My body screamed at me to stop, to give up, but my heart whispered the truth. I couldn't, not while she needed me. I closed my eyes, clutching my empty wallet, like it was still worth something, whispering into the night, "Just hold on, baby. Daddy's coming back. I promise." I leaned back on the bench, chest heaving, eyes heavy. The world blurred at the edges. My blisters burned, my stomach twisted, and for a moment, I thought I might just disappear into the night. Then I heard footsteps. Slow, cautious. I forced my eyes open. A figure moved closer under the broken streetlight. A woman, maybe late 20s. Long coat, hair pulled back, holding a paper cup of coffee that sent steam curling into the air. She stopped a few feet away, staring at me. "You okay?" she asked. Her voice was careful, not mocking, not dismissive. "I'm fine," I muttered, though the tremble in my hands gave me away. She tilted her head, eyes dropping to my shoes, ripped at the sides, darkened by the miles I'd walked. Then her gaze moved the way I was clutching my wallet, like it held something more than scraps. "You don't look fine," she said quietly. Silence pressed between us. I should have told her to leave me alone. Pride screamed at me to keep my pain hidden. But her eyes stayed on mine, steady, unflinching, and something inside me cracked. "My daughter," I whispered, my throat tightening. "She's sick, burning up. I can't." The words broke apart. I covered my face with both hands. I heard her footsteps draw closer, then stop. "What's her name?" she asked. I lowered my hand slowly, startled by the question. "Lily," I said. "She's 7. The woman nodded, almost like she was holding the name carefully. "What's wrong with her?" "Fever. Cough. She can barely breathe when it hits." I tried to buy medicine. I held up my wallet, opening it to show the pathetic stack of crumpled bills. Not even close. They wouldn't sell it to me. For the first time, I said it out loud. The humiliation, the shame of standing in that pharmacy, begging like a child. Her face softened. She sat down on the bench beside me, close enough that I could feel the warmth from her coat. That must have been hard, she said. I let out a bitter laugh. Hard? It's pathetic. What kind of father can't even buy his daughter what she needs to survive? My voice broke, raw and sharp. I hadn't meant to let the words out, but once they started, I couldn't stop. She's all I have. After a mother, my throat closed. I pressed my fist against my chest, fighting the tears. I swore I'd take care of her. But tonight, I couldn't even keep that promise. The woman didn't flinch. She didn't look away. She just listened. "You're here," she said softly. "That counts." I shook my head. Being here doesn't lower fever, doesn't stop the cough. For a long moment, silence. The cold wind rushed past us, rattling a loose sign across the street. Then she spoke again. "Let me help." My head snapped toward her. "What?" "I can drive you," she said simply. "There's a 24-hour pharmacy a few towns over. I'll cover the costs." I blinked at her, sure I'd misheard. "You don't even know me." Her eyes didn't waver. "I don't need to know you to know a child needs help." The words pierced me, deeper than I expected, but pride rose up fast. "No, I can't take your money." "I won't." "I didn't say I'd give you money," she replied. "I said I'd cover the cost. You don't owe me anything. Just let me help." My jaw tightened. Shame clawed at me. If I accepted, did that make me less a father? Less of a man? I stared at the ground, trying to swallow the storm inside me. "I'm tired of pity," I muttered. "This isn't pity," she said firmly. "It's kindness. There's a difference." Her tone was steady, almost commanding. I looked up, meeting her gaze again, and for the first time all night, I saw no judgment in someone's eyes, only belief. I exhaled slowly, the fight draining out of me. My hands trembled as I whispered, "She needs that medicine." "Then let's go get it," the woman said. Standing, she extended her hand toward me. I hesitated, staring at it like it was something fragile. Then I took it, her grip strong as she pulled me up from a bench. The night still felt cold, my feet still burned, but for the first time in a long time, I wasn't walking alone. Her hand was still holding mine when she led me toward her car. The night felt less empty, but my chest still ached with shame. "You don't have to do this," I muttered as she unlocked the door. She looked at me, calm but firm. "Get in." The engine hummed, headlights slicing through the dark road ahead. I stared out the window, my throat tight. The silence pressed on me until I couldn't take it anymore. "Why?" I asked quietly. "Why what?" "Why help me? You don't know me. You don't know my daughter." She kept her eyes on the road. "Sometimes you don't need to know. Sometimes you just do the right thing." I didn't answer. My pride wanted to keep fighting, but my heart was begging me to just accept this lifeline. When we pulled up to the bright-lit pharmacy, my legs felt shaky. I followed her inside, every step heavy with guilt. The smell of disinfectant stung my nose as we approached the counter. The pharmacist looked up. "What can I get you?" I opened my mouth, but the words stuck. My throat felt like it was closing. I glanced at her, and she gave me a small nod, as if telling me to speak. "My daughter," I managed, 7 years old. Fever. Bad cough." The pharmacist moved quickly, gathering boxes, bottles. He placed them on the counter with a thud. The total appeared on the screen, and once again, it was more than I'd ever hold in my hands at once. My chest tightened. Before I could finish, she slipped her card across the counter. "I've got it." I froze. "No, wait. Please. I can't let you." She turned to me, eyes steady, voice low but firm. "She needs this. That's all that matters." "Let me?" My jaw clenched. Pride clawed at me, screaming that I was failing, that I was weak for letting someone else carry what should have been mine. But then I pictured Lily's face, flushed with fever, her small hand clutching mine, whispering, "Don't be long." My voice cracked. "Thank you." The pharmacist slid the bag across the counter. I reached out with shaking hands, gripping it like it was treasure. Medicine. Hope. A second chance. I held it against my chest, and nearly broke right there in the middle of the pharmacy. Back in the car, I whispered, "I don't know how to repay you." "You don't need to," she said. "I do," I insisted, my throat tight. "Nobody helps like this. Not without wanting something in return." Her grip on the steering wheel tightened. For a second, I thought she wouldn't answer. Then she said quietly, "Not everyone leaves when things get hard. Some people just remember what it feels like to be left behind." Her words lingered in the air. I wanted to ask what she meant, what scars she was hiding, but something in her face told me not to push. So I stayed quiet. The drive back was heavy with unspoken things. I stared at the bag in my lap, clutching it tighter, afraid it would vanish if I loosened my grip. My mind kept circling the same thought. She'll disappear after the night. I'll never see her again. But even if that was true, she'd given me something I couldn't give myself: time. When we pulled up in front of my building, I swallowed hard. "Thank you," I whispered, voice breaking. "You didn't just give me medicine. You gave me a chance to keep my promise. I'll never forget this." She looked at me, eyes soft. "Go to your daughter. That's all that matters now." I nodded, gripping the bag tighter, and forced myself out of the car before I collapsed under the weight of emotions I couldn't name. The stairwell felt endless, but when I opened the door to my apartment, Lily's weak voice reached me. "Daddy." I rushed to her bedside. Kneeling down, the medicine clutched in my hands. "I'm here, baby," I whispered, brushing damp hair from her forehead. "Daddy's here, and I've got what you need." For the first time in days, hope filled the room like light breaking through a storm. I stumbled into the apartment with a small white bag clutched to my chest like it was treasure. My legs still ached from the miles I'd walked, but the pain didn't matter anymore. "Sweetheart," I whispered, rushing to her bed. "I've got it. Daddy's got the medicine." Her eyes fluttered open, dull with fever, and she gave the faintest nod. "You came back?" she whispered, her voice raspy. "I told you I would," I said, pouring water into a cup with shaking hands. "Now, let's beat this thing together." I slipped the pill into her mouth and helped her sip the water. For a moment, I just stared at the way her tiny throat swallowed. Prayed it would start working, prayed harder than I ever had in my life. "Daddy," she murmured. "Yes, baby?" "You look tired." I laughed softly, though my chest burned. "I'm fine. I'll sit right here. I'm not leaving you." I pulled the chair close to her bed and held her hand. Her skin was hot, damp with sweat. I pressed my forehead against her fingers, whispering silent prayers. "Please, God, please don't take her from me. Not her, not after everything." The night stretched endlessly. Every time she stirred, I squeezed her hand and whispered, "Daddy's here." When her breathing grew shallow, I fought the terror rising in me, reminded myself that the medicine needed time. My mind drifted to my wife, her last words echoing. "Take care of her, no matter what." "I'm trying," I muttered under my breath. "I don't know if I'm enough, but I'm trying." Around dawn, I felt her forehead again. It was cooler, still warm, but no longer burning. My heart jolted. "Sweetheart," I whispered urgently, shaking her gently. "How do you feel?" Her eyelids fluttered open, clearer this time. She looked at me, then managed the smallest smile. "Better," she said softly. I broke. Tears spilled down my face before I could stop them. I kissed her hand, her forehead, her damp hair. "Thank you, God. Thank you," I whispered over and over. She reached up with trembling fingers, brushing away one of my tears. "Daddy," she whispered, "you're my hero." Those 3 words cut straight through me. My throat closed, and I bowed my head against a blanket, sobbing openly. "No, sweetheart, I'm just your dad. Just a man trying not to fail you." "You didn't fail," she said. "You came back." I held her so carefully, afraid to hurt her, yet desperate to keep her close. In that moment, I thanked my late wife, thanked the stranger who had paid for the medicine, thanked anyone who had heard my desperate prayers. Love wasn't about being strong every second. Love was about refusing to give up, even when I wanted to collapse on the pavement. A soft knock broke my thoughts. I turned to see her, the stranger, standing hesitantly in the doorway. She must have followed me back. "You," my voice cracked. "You came." She stepped inside, her eyes on my daughter. I just wanted to make sure she was okay. My daughter turned her head weakly, her eyes lighting up. "Daddy, is that the angel?" The stranger's lips parted, caught off guard. I chuckled through tears, stroking my daughter's hair. "Yeah, baby, that's the angel who helped us." The woman smiled faintly, her own eyes glassy. "I'm no angel," she said softly. "Yes, you are," my daughter whispered before drifting back into sleep. The room fell quiet except for the sound of her steady breathing. Stronger now, surer. I sat there, my daughter's hand in mine, the stranger's presence at my side. The heaviness of the past night lingered, but so did the fragile light of hope. "Thank you," I said, my voice thick. "I don't even know your name, but you saved her." Her gaze lingered on my daughter. Some things you don't need a reason for. I didn't press her. Part of me feared if I asked too much, she'd vanish like a dream. Instead, I just sat there, soaking in the miracle of seeing my daughter's chest rise and fall with steady breaths. For the first time in so long, I felt the warmth of healing. Hers, and maybe mine too. The room was still, my daughter's soft breath of rhythm I clung to. The stranger lingered by the chair, her hand resting lightly on the back, as though unsure she belonged here. I broke the silence. "She called you an angel?" I gave a tired laugh. "Truth is, I don't even know your name." She hesitated before answering. "Emily." "Emily," I repeated quietly. Why did you really help us?" Her eyes shifted to my daughter, then to the floor. "Because once someone didn't help me." I frowned. "What do you mean?" She sank into the chair across from me. Her voice trembled. "I had a daughter, 2 years old. A fever, just like this. I couldn't get the medicine in time." Her breath hitched. She didn't make it. My heart clenched. I stared at her, words stuck in my throat. "I saw you last night," she continued softly. "Your shoes falling apart, your hands shaking, your eyes desperate. And it was like I was staring at myself all over again. I couldn't let history repeat." The weight of her confession filled the room. My daughter stirred, her small hand tightening around mine. "Daddy," she whispered faintly, her eyes half open. "She lost her baby?" "Yes, sweetheart," I said gently, stroking her hair. Emily's eyes glistened. I shouldn't have said anything in front of her, but my daughter's voice, fragile as it was, carried honesty that cut deeper than anything. "Then maybe God sent you to us." Emily covered her mouth, a quiet sob escaping. I swallowed hard, trying to steady my voice. "I'm so sorry," I said. "I can't imagine that kind of loss. I thought I carried the heaviest weight already, but hearing you," I shook my head. "You've been carrying something so much worse." She wiped her cheeks, whispering, "Grief doesn't go away. It just changes shape. Seeing you fight for her," she nodded toward my daughter, "reminded me that love can still keep us alive, even when it hurts." For a while, the three of us just sat in the fragile silence. My daughter's fingers tugged weakly at mine. "Daddy, does she feel lonely too?" "Yes, baby," I answered softly. "Just like us." Emily looked at her. "More than you know." I leaned back, my chest tight. All this time, I thought I was the only one walking in the dark. Turns out, we're all stumbling through shadows. Emily gave a faint smile, broken yet sincere. But sometimes the shadows cross, and maybe that's the only light we get. Her words stayed with me. For months, I had buried my grief, convinced no one could understand. But here was someone who did, who had felt the same helplessness, the same crushing guilt. "Do you ever stop blaming yourself?" I asked quietly. She shook her head. "No, but you learn to live with the blame. And when you see a chance to do good, you take it, even if it breaks you open again." I squeezed my daughter's hand, whispering, "That's what we're all trying to do, isn't it? Keep going. For them." Emily nodded. "Exactly." My daughter, fighting sleep, whispered, "You can come back tomorrow." "Daddy, can she?" Her innocent request made Emily's lips tremble. She reached out, brushing my daughter's forehead lightly. "If your dad says it's okay, I'd like that." I looked at her, then at my little girl's pleading eyes. "Yes," I said, "we like that." Emily exhaled shakily, as though a piece of her had been waiting for that permission. She stood, adjusting her coat. "Then I'll come tomorrow. You won't have to do this alone." I nodded, my throat tight. "Thank you, Emily, for everything, for trusting us with your pain." She gave one last glance at my daughter, her expression tender, but heavy with memories I couldn't touch. "Get some rest," she said softly. "Tomorrow we'll talk more." When the door closed behind her, I sat in the stillness, holding my daughter's tiny hand. For the first time in so long, I didn't feel entirely alone. The next morning, the fever was lower. She managed a weak smile. "Daddy, I feel better." I kiss her forehead. "That's because the medicine's working, sweetheart. You're strong, stronger than me." She giggled softly, though her voice was faint. "Not true." As I brushed her hair back, my phone buzzed on the table. A notification. Then another, and another. I frowned, picking it up. "Daddy," she whispered. "Who keeps writing to you?" "I don't know." My thumb hesitated before unlocking the screen. Dozens of messages flooded in. Old co-workers, neighbors I hadn't spoken to in months, even numbers I didn't recognize. Each one saying the same thing. "We saw your story. We're praying for you. Stay strong. You're not alone." My hands trembled. What story? That's when Emily knocked lightly and stepped inside, her phone in her hand. "I should have told you," she said softly. "Last night, after I left, I wrote about what happened. I posted it online." I stared at her. "You what?" "I didn't use names," she added quickly. "But I wrote about a father who walked miles on broken shoes for his daughter's medicine. About how much love it takes to do that. I wanted people to see the kind of strength the world ignores." I felt the heat rise in my chest, shame, pride, confusion all tangled together. "Emily, why would you?" Before I could finish, my daughter's tiny voice broke in. "Daddy, are we famous?" Emily crouched beside her bed, smiling gently. "Not famous, sweet girl. Just seen." I pressed a hand over my face. Overwhelmed. For years, I'd been invisible. The man sweeping floors at midnight. The father pawning his watch to buy groceries. The neighbor too ashamed to ask for help. Now, the whole world suddenly knew. My phone buzzed again. Another message. "We want to help. Where can we send donations?" I looked up at Emily, my voice raw. "I never asked for this." She met my gaze steadily. "I know, but maybe you deserve it." Tears pricked my eyes. "Do I?" I thought, for so long, I believed struggling was just my fate, that no one cared, that I had to carry it alone. My daughter tugged my sleeve. "Daddy, can we buy new shoes now? So your feet don't hurt anymore." I laughed through the tears. "Maybe we can, baby. Maybe we can." The hours that followed felt unreal. Neighbors I hadn't spoken to in years knocked on the door with groceries, blankets, even toys. One man from work pressed an envelope into my hand. "Don't argue. Just take it," he said, his voice firm but kind. Online, strangers left messages like prayers. "Your love is proof there's still good in this world." I lost my dad young. Reading this healed something in me. Each word chipped away at the walls I'd built inside. For the first time in years, the heaviness in my chest lifted just a little. That evening, Emily returned with bags of food. She set them on the counter, smiling shyly. "Looks like the world is on your side now." I shook my head, struggling for words. "I don't even know how to thank you. For this, for everything." She looked at my daughter, who was nibbling on bread at the table. "You already did." "She's smiling. That's enough." My little girl grinned, crumbs on her lips. "Daddy, tell her she can stay for dinner. Please." I chuckled. "You heard the boss." Emily laughed softly, sitting down with us. For a moment, the kitchen felt alive again, warm, full of voices, almost like the family I thought I'd lost forever. As the night grew quiet, I tucked my daughter into bed. She clutched my hand, whispering, "Daddy, I'm glad people know you're my hero." Her words pierced me deeper than any message online. I kissed her forehead and stayed by her side until her eyes closed. Later, alone with the silence, I picked up my phone again. Hundreds of messages, thousands of strangers lifting us up, donations enough to cover more than just medicine, enough to breathe, enough to live without fear, at least for a while. But more than that, I realized it wasn't about money. It was about finally being seen, about not walking in the dark alone anymore. I sat back, whispering into the stillness, maybe the world isn't so cold after all. Those were the last words I whispered into the dark before sleep finally pulled me under. The next morning, sunlight spilled across the room, soft and golden. My daughter stirred beside me, her cheeks no longer flushed with fever. She blinked up at me with sleepy eyes. "Daddy." "Yes, baby." Her arms wrapped weakly around my neck. "I'm not afraid anymore." The words pierced me, not with pain this time, but with relief so deep I almost couldn't breathe. I held her close, burying my face in her hair. "You don't ever have to be, sweetheart, not while I'm here." Inside, I thought of every mile I'd walked, every blister, every doubt. I thought of Emily's tearful confession, the strangers who had opened their hearts, the way the world had shifted around us in a single night. I had felt invisible for so long, yet here she was, my little girl, telling me she wasn't afraid because she trusted me. That trust was heavier than any burden. But it was also the greatest gift. Later that day, Emily stopped by one last time. She lingered at the door, hesitant. "How's our little fighter?" My daughter grinned from the couch, blanket around her shoulders. "Better. Daddy gave me medicine, and God sent me an angel." Emily's eyes softened. "I think God already gave you one. He's sitting right there." She nodded toward me. I shook my head, embarrassed. I'm just a man who almost gave up. Her gaze was steady. "But you didn't. That's what matters." For a moment, silence stretched between us. Grief, gratitude, and unspoken promises filling the air. Then Emily whispered, "This is your story now. Live it well." I swallowed hard, nodding. "And you, don't carry your pain alone anymore. Let your daughter's memory live through the kindness you've given us." She smiled faintly, tears in her eyes. "That's the plan." My daughter waved. "Come back again." Emily reached for her small hand, squeezing it gently. "Maybe one day. But for now, you've got the best daddy in the world. Hold on to him." With that, she slipped out, leaving warmth behind in the space she had occupied. That night, after dinner, my daughter curled up in my lap. "Daddy." "Yes, sweetheart." "Do you promise, even if things get hard again, you'll keep walking for me?" Her question sliced straight into my chest. I kissed the top of her head and whispered, "I promise. I'll walk miles. I'll crawl if I have to. I'll never stop fighting for you. That's what being your dad means." Her little arms tightened around me, and for the first time in what felt like forever, I let the tears fall freely. They weren't tears of shame this time, or of fear. They were tears of release, of gratitude. In my mind, I spoke silently to my late wife. "I did it. She's safe. I'll keep my promise to you, no matter how far I have to go." As my daughter's breathing slowed against my chest, I looked around our tiny, worn-down home. Nothing had changed in its walls, yet everything felt different, because for the first time in years, I wasn't just surviving, I was living. And I understood now. Fatherhood isn't measured in what you can provide or in how strong you look on the outside. It's measured in the miles you're willing to walk, the pride you're willing to swallow, the nights you're willing to stay awake so your child can sleep. It's sacrifice, yes, but it's also the purest form of love I will ever know. As the world outside buzzed with story gone viral, inside these four walls was the only story that truly mattered: a father, a daughter, and the promise that bound us. I pressed a kiss to her forehead, whispering into the quiet, "We'll be okay, baby. From now on, we'll live, not just survive." And with her arms still wrapped around me, I believed it.